A lot of questions about an announcement this morning in New York City and people wondering if we could be next. The mayor of the Big Apple announcing the city will require proof of vaccination in order for people to go to places like restaurants, indoor shows, and gyms.
This will phase in and be fully enforced about 5 weeks from now on September 13th. It's being called the, quote, Key to NYC Pass, with the goal of encouraging more people to get vaccinated.
This is a miraculous place, literally full of wonders. And if you're vaccinated, all that's going to open up to you. You'll have the key, you can open the door. But if you're unvaccinated, unfortunately, you will not be able to participate in many things. That's the point we're trying to get across. It's time for people to see vaccination as literally necessary to living a good and full and healthy life.
And we are joined now by Channel 2's Ron Plants, who's been following the story for us.
So, Ron, people obviously want to know, could what's happening in New York City happen here?
Not at this point, Michael. A spokesman for Erie County Executive Mark Poloncarz says it is not currently being considered. Now, they're seeing that the hospitalization rate is not that bad. That's always been a bit of a driving force with COVID policies. And right now, while they're watching it, not a major issue. Also, some local small business owners tell me they simply don't have the staff to enforce vaccine requirements for customers. Some fear that those employees would just quit if forced into that role. And also, again, back to the emergency powers granted to the governor by lawmakers. They've expired, and they're leaving it up to county and local governments, especially with everything else going on right now in Albany. Kate, Michael?
Yeah, and Ron, even without any government mandates, we certainly know there are private businesses out there that are requiring vaccinations either for their workers or for their customers. Do you think we should be expecting more of that?
Well, perhaps. Now, on the national level, like some companies like Tyson Foods, they're making vaccines mandatory for their employees. Others like GM and Ford are just requiring masks at this point, whatever the vaccine status. But again, back to that vaccine requirement. We asked a local attorney, Vincent Miranda of Lippis, Matthias, Wexler Friedman, who is an employment law specialist, about what he's hearing and the advice he's given to some of his clients right now. Some of this we already heard with policy from the Federal Equal Employment Opportunity Commission.
The EEOC, as you said, the government's top regulator on issues of discrimination and the like, said explicitly in guidance, which you don't always get, that companies can require vaccination of employees for someone to physically enter the workplace, absent a few exceptions if someone has a health issue, sincerely held religious belief. And this is somewhat of a controversial decision for some. With companies who typically don't get involved in employee healthcare decisions, they didn't want to do it. But I think now we're at a point of time where the law is still the same, but we are facing a fourth wave, and the calculus has changed a little bit from that perspective for companies.
But again, with that controversy, that's why a lot of companies, even in healthcare and especially with some unions pushing back, have really hesitated to go there on vaccine mandates for employees.
Yeah, we'll continue to follow that and see if that changes at all. Finally, Ron, I want to ask you about the bigger picture with vaccinations, because in places with a lot of cases and hospitalizations like we're seeing across a lot of southern states, there's actually been this recent uptick in people getting the shots. They're probably looking at this and saying, I don't want to get really sick. I don't want to end up in the hospital. And so they're going and getting vaccinated. What does the situation look like here locally?
Well, this afternoon, we did just hear from the Erie County Health Department with state information that just over 72% of adults over the age of 18 have had at least one shot, and it's between 45 to 50% for the 12 to 17-year-old age bracket getting one shot so far. Total vaccination for the state said to be about 57%. And then overall, again, this is the actual hospitalization rate they're looking at, nowhere near what they saw before. And then they have relatively few ICU patients, again, despite the, quote, substantial infection rate, which is still going up here in Erie County. Kate, Michael?
All right, Ron, thank you.
All right, that's going to do it for our town hall, but our team coverage of the sexual harassment report against Governor Cuomo continues next at 6.
We will leave you with our text line number. If you have a question or a comment, please send us a message to 716-849-2220.